Why did you want to be a C-Sec officer in the first place?
That's a good question. There were several reasons, I guess.
Like what?
Probably the same as most officers. I wanted to fight injustice, wanted to help people. I guess my father had something to do with it, too. He was C-Sec, one of the best. I grew up hearing about his accomplishments or seeing his picture on the vids after a big arrest. He's taking my resignation pretty hard.
He's not impressed that you're going after Saren?
My father's a C-Sec man to the bone. Do things right or don't do them at all, he says. He thinks I'm being too rash, too impatient. He's worried I'll become just like Saren. He actually talked me out of becoming a Spectre when I was younger, for the same reasons.
You were asked to be a Spectre?
Well, I was targeted as a possible Spectre candidate. Me and about 1,000 other Turian military recruits. I could have received special training, but my father didn't like it. He despises the Spectres. He hates the idea of someone having unlimited power with no accountability. He wouldn't like you, Commander. No offense.
Spoken like a true C-Sec officer.
Yeah, it's a speech I've heard one too many times.
Not all Spectres are like Saren, you know.
Of course not.
I suppose I can understand his concern.
You can. But Saren's not going to play by our rules, C-Sec's rules. If you want to nail Saren, you need to send someone who isn't restricted by policies and procedures.
Just because you can break the rules doesn't mean you should. I don't need to stoop to Saren's level to stop him. And neither do you, Garrus.
I see what you mean, but I'll think about it.
Don't get caught up in the details, Garrus. We'll find him, and then we'll stop him. That's all you need to know.
Good point. Thanks, Commander. I've been raised to see Krogan as bloodthirsty thugs, but you've surprised me, Rex. You are different.
The genophage is a lot easier to swallow when all Krogan are savage monsters, isn't it? Why don't you head back to the Normandy, kid? If you stay here in the real world, you might have to learn something. Must be hard for you, Garrus, knowing that the person behind all this death and destruction is a Turian Spectre.
Saren is either a traitor or a madman. Taking him down will restore the good name of Turians everywhere.
Glad to hear it. I was losing sleep over the prospect of people not loving the Turians.
I'm surprised that you're willing to kill your own, Rex. Aren't the Krogan just a few generations away from extinction?
You don't get it. For all your talk of honor and pride, the Turians never had to test their principles in a real struggle. Anyone who fights us is either stupid or on Saren's payroll. Killing the latter is business. Killing the former is a favor to the universe. So how about it, Garrus? Is this better than C-Sec?
Fighting a rogue Spectre with countless lives at stake and no regulations to get in the way? I'd say that beats C-Sec.
There may just be hope for you yet, Turian. So tell me, who'd win in a fight between you and Shepard?
That question smacks of impertinence. Commander Shepard is a Spectre with a distinguished service record.
So was Saren. Think about it.
I'd love to see what the Normandy can do in a fight.
Only an idiot hopes for combat while flying in a stealth ship.
But the stealth drive adds a new tactical level to space combat as we know it. Surprise attacks, undetected flanking maneuvers.
This isn't a strategy simulation. If those new tactics don't work, we're...
You must welcome civilization after spending such a long time in the Prothean ruins.
No, cities and stations were always my mother's area of comfort. I actually enjoy the solitude of dig sites.
After seeing so many Asari come through the Citadel, I assumed your people preferred large cities. I apologize.
Garrus, perhaps it is my own trouble with Benezia that makes me ask, but do you feel comfortable facing a respected Turian Spectre like Saren?
Saren is either a traitor or a madman. Taking him down will restore the good name of Turians everywhere.
With your respect for the Spectres, I thought you might hesitate. I'm glad I was wrong.
Sometimes I envy your biotic abilities, Doctor, but then all your people have such skill.
While the Asari have natural biotic abilities, not all have the desire to learn to use their abilities effectively.
Of course, I intended no disrespect to the effort you have put into your training. Pardon me.
Now that you have experienced a Spectre's life firsthand, Garrus, do you regret leaving your security position?
Fighting a rogue Spectre with countless lives at stake and no regulations to get in the way? I'd say that beats CSEC.
I am unsure how the imminent destruction of all organic life beats anything, but your enthusiasm is comforting nonetheless.
With all this exploration of Prothean culture, this must be like a survey for you, Liara.
Our travels now are somewhat different from my normal excavations. I would prefer lengthier studies and fewer explosions.
The loss of all this Prothean technology is just one more thing Saren will have to pay for. I'd love to see what the Normandy can do in a fight.
How so? The Normandy is built for stealth, not combat.
But the stealth drive adds a new tactical level to space combat as we know it. Surprise attacks, undetected flanking maneuvers.
I had forgotten the Turian appreciation for tactics and strategy. With respect, I hope we avoid ship-to-ship combat entirely.
Commander Shepard, I didn't expect to see you here. Did Ambassador Udina send you?
I came on my own. I need information.
You humans are always so curious, always sticking your fingers into someone else's pie. Is that the right expression? Never mind. Forget I asked.
Commander, good to see you.
You've been with CSEC a while. Have you seen much action?
Well, not as much as you, but yeah, I've seen some interesting things.
I bet you have. Anything in particular that stands out?
I remember this Solarian geneticist I was sent to investigate. That case was a bit disturbing.
What happened? Why were you investigating him?
I was tasked with tracking black market trade on the Citadel. Most of it harmless, nothing I needed to pursue. But during the course of my investigation, I noticed an increase in the trade of body parts, organs mostly. We usually get a few of those, but not the numbers I was seeing. We weren't sure if there was a new black market lab or if some freak was harvesting organs from citizens.
You've seen this before on the Citadel?
Every so often, some lab sells unwanted parts through the black market, but they're not as bad as the psychos. I remember this one Elcor diplomat we caught in my first year on the job. He was hacking people up and selling their organs, had the station in a bit of a panic. But this case wasn't that clear-cut. Turns out there was more going on than we first realized.
So how did you figure out what was happening?
First, we got a hold of a sample and ran DNA tests. The weird thing was, the match led us to a Turian who was still alive and was very convinced he'd never lost his liver. After a bit of digging, I discovered this Turian worked briefly for Dr. Salion, the geneticist. So I went to his lab hoping to find evidence of cloned organ development, but there was nothing. No Solarian hearts, no Turian livers, not one Krogan testicle.
You're kidding, right? Why would anyone want Krogan testicles?
Some Krogan believe that testicle transplants can increase their virility, counteract the effects of the genophage. It doesn't work, but that doesn't stop them from buying. They'll pay up to 10,000 credits each. That's 40,000 for a full set. Somebody's making a killing out there.
What'd you do about the geneticist?
I brought in some of his employees for interrogation, to see if I could get them to talk. While I was interviewing one of them, I came across something suspicious.
Good thinking. Lackeys are always easier to scare.
Exactly. Though in this case it paid off in a different way. One of my detainees started bleeding profusely during the interview. We offered to patch him up and he got frantic, freaked out. I ordered a full exam to find out what was going on. Our medics found incisions all over his body, some of them fresh. That was our big break. These people weren't just Dr. Salion's employees. They were test tubes. Walking, living test tubes.
He was growing parts inside these people?
Exactly. He cloned their organs right inside their own bodies. Then he harvested them and sold them off. Most of the victims were poor. He'd pay them each a small percentage of the sales, but only if the organs were good. Sometimes an organ wouldn't grow properly, so he'd just leave it in them. Most of them were a mess, but only on the inside, hidden so nobody could see it.
I hope he got what he deserved.
That's the worst part. We never caught him.
Why not? What the hell happened?
He ran, blew his lab, grabbed some of his employees, and headed for the nearest space dock. By the time I found out, his ship was already leaving. He threatened to kill his hostages if we tried to stop him.
But you went after him anyway, right?
I ordered Citadel Defense to shoot him down, but CSEC headquarters countermanded my order. They were worried about the hostages, worried about civilian casualties if the ship was destroyed so close to the Citadel. I told them those hostages were dead anyway. He just used them to make more organs, but they wouldn't listen.
No wonder you hated it there. Those idiots just let him fly away.
Yes, they did. I went to Palin and told him what I thought of him and his policies. He said if I didn't like it, I could quit. Well, I almost did. All they had to do was disable that ship, stop him from running. Maybe the hostages die, maybe they don't, but at least we stopped the bastard responsible for it all.
I suppose I can see both sides. But what's done is done.
I suppose. Can't waste too much time worrying about it now. Just wish I could have stopped him. That's all.
Do you have any idea what happened to Dr. Salian?
I sent out feelers from time to time, hoping to find something. I thought I'd found him a while back. He changed ships and changed his name to Dr. Hart, his idea of a joke, I guess. I told the military, but they weren't convinced it was him. I got the transponder frequency for his new ship, but I just can't get anyone to check it out.
I'll check out the coordinates when I get a chance.
I was hoping you'd say that. But Commander, take me with you when you go. If it's Salion, I want to be there when you find him.